Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and we're back out here in the garage for another First Impressions and Garage Gun Talk. And I have to start off by apologizing for the sound of the fan that is currently blowing some nice air on me. Even though it's nice and cool here, or cooler here in the North Texas area, it is a little bit humid. We had a lot of rain yesterday. So it's just a little bit muggy, and for me to be able to sit out here and make content and to, mull around here in the garage, I got to have a little bit of relief. I have to make it palatable. So that fan has to be on, so I'm sorry if it has an annoying hum in the background. And I just wanted to let you know that I know it's there, but I appreciate you hanging around. So when it comes to my channel, I know a lot of you care about the gun content first. So I want to start off with the first impressions. I was able to go to the range and film content for two videos. One is a product review on the upcoming release of an O-Sight K, which is a micro red dot sight for the RMSC footprint, which I have to give a huge shout out to my friend Jack, because I don't personally own any pistols with an RMSC footprint. He always lets me borrow his SIG P365. So I want to give him a huge thanks and shout out for that. So I was able to review that. Great little red dot. Not perfect. It was okay. Actually, I think my optics reviews are getting much, much better. I'm very happy with the two reviews I did this week on the O-Sight C and the O-Sight K, which will be released, I think, in 2 weeks or a week. Anyway, we'll see. I have them set in the window they're supposed to be released at. But anyway, expect a bunch of your favorite content creators to be releasing and dropping videos on O-Sights. You guys know who that is. But you guys know that when it comes to my videos, I don't use the affiliate links because I don't want you to think I get any money or kickbacks for any of my reviews, because I want you to know that I am unbiased and I tell it like it is. So overall, that O-Sight K is pretty good. I give it like 4 out of 5 stars. I do have a couple issues with it, but I think for the price, it's a great little optic. But one of the things I think I definitely need to invest in for the channel, and I'll probably need to save up a few months with my Patreon money, is I do need to get a test bed pistol for the RMSC footprint. If you guys don't know, I have a few guns that I set aside specifically for product testing. And I think I have most of them out here. I kind of keep them on the wall or on the workbench in the back. I have the North Star Arms NS15 up there on the top. And that's like a 16-inch barreled AR-15. I use it for some suppressor reviews that are direct thread. I use it for lights, lasers, bipods, some rifle optics that are, primarily focused on like, low-powered variable optics. LPVOs, I use it for that. I'll do it with stocks or any other type of accessory. I have a Walther PDP, which is down here, and I use that for pistol, lasers, lights, and any optic that uses the RMR footprint. So it's kind of dedicated just for that. I also have a 300 Blackout SBR, my Seekins Precision. It's over there on that workbench, and I use that for 30 caliber cans. And I think I'll use that for like pistol red dot sights, but I don't have anything for the RMSC footprint and like anything that's like super compact and really designed for carry. So I think I need to save up a few months of my Patreon money and get a test bed pistol, probably something like a SIG P365. Something very entry level basic that I could slap these optics on, because there's a lot out there, and not have to borrow my friend Jack's. Even though he is so kind and always lets me, use them, I don't want to be a bother. So I think I definitely need to save up and do that. But anyway, so I think if you're a Patreon supporter, you know where your money's going to go to for the next, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. I probably should just save it and just bite the bullet and just go buy a little P365 or something else that takes an RMSC footprint. So anyway, now let's talk about the guns, or the gun I took to the range. And this is going to be a little bit out of the norm for what I review, because I am so blessed that I have the generous support of so many amazing people that lend guns to the channel, things that I don't have in my personal collection, that I think are really fascinating and interesting. And this goes on both ends of the price spectrum, in that I've gotten to review like a Jennings 25, like Saturday Night Special from the 1970s, all the way up to a $10,000, $11,000 Infinity 2011, and things that are even more expensive than that, like a SIG XM7 prototype rifle. I guess it's not really a prototype rifle. I guess it's the one of 50 that were the exact copies minus the full auto selector that the military adopted in 277 Fury. But anyway, I review everything, and I always know that if I don't have other people's firearms to review, I can then go to my own collection. And some things I personally have I think are really interesting and cool and rare, collectible, and then some things are just kind of like what everybody else has. And that's what I have on the table today, because this is my personal Smith & Wesson M&P9 Shield Plus Performance Center with the ported barrel. Now, this actually is a discontinued model, and the reason I made a range report on this is recently I had a little bit of a lull in that I got done with all the guns that were into the channel for review. I was like, I gotta start doing something else until I can go, pick up other guns from other people and drop off the ones I've already reviewed. So I was like, I have a little series, which I have a playlist for, which is the guns of my personal carry rotation. And I haven't gotten to them all yet. And I think the last one, when this one comes out, will be over a year since the previous episode. But I was like, you know what? I carry this one a lot, so why not do a range report on it? And as I was doing my research, I found this was a discontinued variant, because I've actually gotten to review the standard one, which is this size, the Performance Center one that's a little bit longer. I think it has a comp on it. And when I was looking online, I was like, well, where's the one that I own? And it's not there anymore. I had to find out. It's been discontinued for whatever reason. So this is my personal gun. Took it to the range, a gun that I really enjoy carrying. It's the perfect size. And for me, I feel like it truly fits the bill for what a great concealed carry pistol should be. And what I mean by that is, it's the right size with the right capacity. It's the right balance, and it has a lot of great features. So the Shield Plus, I think, was made in response to the SIG P365. And when that gun hit the market, in my opinion, it was a game changer, because they designed that double stack magazine to have geometry to really put 10 rounds in the smallest package they possibly could. And then they built a gun around it. It was very small, smaller than a Glock 26, which also has 10 rounds. And you had lots of capacity. Of course, you could have longer magazines if you wanted more capacity, but it just packed a lot of power into a small little package that you could essentially pocket carry with the right holster. And Smith & Wesson, I think, tried to copy that with this gun, or the basic version of this gun. And then, of course, the Performance Center has their own versions of it, which this, I think, has a better trigger. Some people say the Performance Center shields have the same trigger. I disagree. This thing feels crisper and lighter. It also has the porting, which I do like. When it comes to any gun that has any degree of compensation, I typically prefer ports on the barrel over a compensator out front. But then all the companies that made these little tiny guns like this, which, by the way, this has a 10-round capacity in this magazine, which has a really weird shape to it. Reminds me a lot of the HK P7 M13, where you have the double stack kind of at the bottom and this weird single feed at the top, because the upper portion of this gun is just like the standard shields, which are single stack. So they just made that magazine. They also offer a 13-round capacity magazine, which is still pretty tiny. And you get a little bit of extra room for your pinky. But normally I carry the 10-rounder because that is so much easier to conceal. And the reason I think this is perfect is it has that philosophy where it's very tiny, lots of capacity, it has a great trigger, it has fiber optic sights, which I prefer. Now, this is an older one, so it's not milled out for a red dot, which I would not use in my personal carry anyway. It is ported. I just think it's a great little gun. But now, when it comes to the Shields, the Shield Pluses, and the P365s from SIG, they've all fallen into this trap of listening to what gun owners say. Now, I know what you're thinking to yourself. Whoa, hold on a second. Shouldn't they listen to their consumers? Yes, but just like when it came to the SIG P320, they listened to gun owners. They gave them the gun that they want, and now they have problems with the gun because people wanted a gun with no manual safety. They wanted one with no blade safety in the trigger. They wanted one with a light trigger. SIG gave it to everybody. And then you have negligent discharges or accidental discharges or uncommanded discharges with whatever you talk about. And I remember when all that came, I'm like, guys, we already know what's going to happen here. Just handling the gun before any issue ever happened, even with like the drop safety stuff, you're like, this is an unsafe gun, not because it's mechanically bad, but because people are not going to know how to handle it. They're not going to be able to shoot it safely. And I think a lot of the issues with it are that. But Smith & Wesson did the same thing with the M&Ps in that once they created this great gun with the safeties, which, by the way, this one has a thumb safety as well, which I absolutely love. I think your carry gun like this should have that. I know some people are like, striker fire gun shouldn't have a thumb safety. Well, I like it on this gun, okay? It gives me one more little piece of protection. I don't have to run it. It's safe to have it not on, but I do like to have it. Plus, you got the blade safety, and you got the striker safety. And you got the drop safety. It's all in there. It's all in there. I love it. But anyway, the last M&P Shield that I reviewed was big. I think it was my friend Jack's, speaking of Jack. And it had a compensator on the front. And I remember holding it going, man, this gun's getting a little bit big. And I think I've reviewed almost every version of the P365. Because, then they had the P365X, which was bigger. I think it had a few more rounds in it. Then they had the P365XL. Then they have the Fuse. And now they have P365s that are like the size of Glock 19s. I'm like, well, the whole point of the 365 was to have this small gun. If you wanted it to be a Glock 19, just buy it, make a gun that's like a Glock 19. Give it a different model number. I'm not a big fan of taking something that's super small and making it bigger, and bigger. I always use a car example. And if you love classic cars, you know exactly what I'm going to talk about when it comes to the Ford Thunderbird. Go look at the first 2 or 3 years that the Ford Thunderbird was out in the 1950s. And it was a sexy two-seater car. It was Ford's competition to the Corvette. It's a sweet-looking car. Sporty. It was fast for the mid-50s. It was just what it was. It was awesome. And then all of a sudden, I think it was by like 1958, all of a sudden it had a back seat. It was a little bit bigger. It was still smaller than other cars, but it was like a sporty family car. And it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger until you have like the Ford Thunderbirds of the 1970s, which were like the size of, yachts. That's why people call them land yachts. They were so big, I don't think I could fit it into my garage. And so they went from this little tiny car that was super sleek, sexy, and sporty to this gigantic box. Why? Because they listened to people. Well, we need to sell these to families. Guys need to have a back seat to put their kids in. And it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And these companies ruined these awesome carry guns by making them bigger and bigger and bigger. The whole point of the Shield was to be small. But some of the Shield Plus variants out there now are like the size of an M&P9 compact. Just buy an M&P9 compact. It's probably a bit more durable gun than the Shield. I don't know. Sorry. I know I'm getting way off topic here. This is a complete gun gripe, I guess. But anyway, this pistol, I think, is in that sweet spot of size and capacity. I carry it. I love the fiber optic sights, and it shoots pretty good. Pretty good. When it comes to any gun this size, I don't shoot them like tack drivers, but I would say it has good functional, duty, or practical accuracy. And with the iron sights, it's pretty good out to 25 yards from me. I'm saying I'm getting a group about, this big, which is pretty good. And at 7 yards, 15 yards, we're talking about this. The compensator is nice, or sorry, not the compensator, the porting is nice. It might be a little bit loud and a little bit flashy, but not too bad. You definitely feel it. It's a louder report than a standard gun, but it definitely helps you keep the gun on target when it's this small. And I find that when I shoot this gun faster, the porting helps. So this is a gun that I personally put my life or would protect my life with, and do protect my life with. And I do trust it. It ran 100% reliable. It's good accuracy. It's great. I think it has a lot of great capacity, a lot of great options for a gun of this size. So unfortunately, it's discontinued. I love the porting. I don't like the comps as much. Like the fact it's a performance center. So it's going to get a good rating. I would say, this is not because I personally own this one. It's my favorite shield I've ever shot. It's just my favorite variant, and they don't make it. So anyway, there you go. That's my thoughts on that. Might not be the coolest and most interesting review, but I'm looking forward to making the episode 5, I think, of the guns of my personal carry rotation. So my personal M&P9 Shield Plus Performance Center. All right, so that's all the gun content. And I know I've been a little bit rambly here, so we're going to transition into a couple of other things. Okay, so now we're going to talk about Browneworks Grips. And an issue I had, but not with Browneworks. And then I guess this is going to be kind of a behind the scenes and maybe kind of a gripe with people in the gun community. So I was looking at my comments a couple days ago, and I saw somebody comment on 2 or 3 of my videos, like in a row, the same comment. Normally those are kind of spammy kind of things, it's, you know, whatever. And I kind of look at them to see what's going on. Often it's somebody's mad at me and they try to get my attention by spamming that comment. Well, they said that I need to drop Browneworks as a sponsor because they contacted Mark, and Mark quoted him $700 for a set of Ruger standard grips for like their 22 pistol. And I was like, okay, hold up. What, is there an issue here? Because I could see him quoting $70. I was like, maybe he added an extra zero or something. I'm thinking to myself, well, the Ruger standard, as far as I know, is a pretty standard pistol, right? So let me email Mark. I text Mark, and he called me back, and we had a great conversation. I was like, dude, what is going on here? Because I got this guy. I've deleted all the double comments, but I got one on there, and I'm just curious because I want to get him the right information and make sure everything is on the up and up here. And he told me the story that, and he even sent me the emails, that it's not a Ruger standard. It was a early pre-Mark I Ruger 22 pistol. And what Mark was saying is that anytime you want absolute custom grips on a gun that there are no blueprints for, he doesn't have an example of, and he has to essentially create these things and almost like reverse engineer them. It's going to take time, it's going to take money. Because, you know, he makes his money by production, you know. So like when you order a set of 1911 grips or Beretta 92 grips, those are pretty standard, you know, PT99 grips. I think, is that the PT99? Is that the Taurus or the PT9? I forgot the name of it. You guys know what I'm talking about. He has certain models that he makes a lot of, and so he already knows the dimensions. He knows the different variations, and so he's able to go back and produce those quickly. So even if it's a highly customized piece with maybe a laminate wood, a special color, a special texture, or if it has, you know, like alligator skin or something, he doesn't have to worry about the dimensions of it. It's something he goes, okay, I know what I need to do. He has his process down, and those are going to be affordable. So, but anything that is custom, and you guys see the work he does, absolutely amazing. And he is not just going to throw trash out the door. You know, he's not going to go, it's close enough. It's going to be right. And he told the guy, this is a pistol I've never seen in person. And it's a pre-Mark I, so it's even harder to get a hold of. If you sent me the grips, I have to reverse engineer them. And then that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to fit the gun, which means I'm going to have to send them to you. There's going to be fitting. You're going to have to send them back, kind of a back and forth. So if you want to go through this process, I'll create the perfect grips for you, but he has to take his time and calculate in his labor. It's not about the materials, it's about his time. And you have to think about reverse engineering grips from the ground up. He'll probably have to make multiples of them because he doesn't want to make the custom grips out of the laminate woods or the snakeskin and then have it not fit, and then he can't reuse it. So he's probably going to make like a basic mock-up of it to make sure it fits. All of that takes time. And you have to get them back, tweak everything, and then make the grips. And it's you know, let's just say, I don't know, like I don't know what you guys get paid per hour, but a craftsman like that, easily $75 to $100 an hour, right? That's just what you would expect. And so he's like, it's going to take me, he quoted like 7 hours, essentially. 7 days of work, devoting 1 hour to those grips, which he even said I'd probably still lose money on it. It's like, well, that's fair enough. Yeah, so made complete sense. So I wanted to share this story with you because I understand the frustrations on both sides, in that I have a sponsor who makes custom grips. He makes amazing custom grips, and people think that he can just turn out rare gun grips that he's never seen before like that, and they should be like under like $60. That's not going to happen. But I also understand Mark's frustration, because there's people out there that don't understand what it takes to, number one, run a business. They don't understand what it takes to create something from scratch. And that's why when it comes to Browneworks, I wholeheartedly endorse him and love having him as a sponsor, because he is honestly a craftsman. Go look at his website. Go look at his Instagram. Go look at what he's creating. And I've seen him get better and better over time. And sometimes I'm blown away with what he can create. I'm like, wow, I didn't even know you could do that with wood. I didn't even know you could do that with those materials. It looks beautiful and gorgeous. And I know from my own personal grips that he's made for me, they're going to fit. And he will make sure that they are right. So if you want high-end custom work, you have to pay high-end custom money. On a gun that he doesn't have, he has to reverse engineer and make the grips from scratch. But as I said, if you have a Kimber 1911, if you have a Browning High Power, if you have a Rock Island, I know he makes grips for the revolvers. If you have one of those, easy peasy, and he will make the perfect grips for you. And he has the templates, and he will make just an amazing piece for you. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you because I know this guy who made that comment might comment on other videos, and we'll have to see. So far, it's been a nice dialogue. But anyway, if you start seeing comments like that from one person, you guys know what's up. But I'm telling you, if you order a set of grips from Browneworks, he's going to treat you right. It's going to be a fair price. Use my discount code, and you guys will get something special. Now, especially if it's for something that's a little bit more common. Now, if you ask him, hey, I have this gun from 1912. It's I'm trying to think of something like super rare, like a Steyr, was it an M1912, okay? I've never seen one in person. You can't contact Mark and go, hey, I need wood grips for a Steyr M1912 pistol that is super rare, and I need them under $60. That's not going to happen. It's just not feasible. So be reasonable in your request, and I'll tell you, Mark does amazing work, and I wholeheartedly endorse and support him. So I wanted to talk about that. All right, last thing I wanted to talk about, and this I think might be a little bit of a hot button issue for some. Now, I want to have a good dialogue. Now, that's the key word here, dialogue. Because what I'm about to say, and this is going to go into the Trump administration looking at potential gun bans for trans individuals. I'm going to say some things that I know people are going to disagree with. But just because we disagree doesn't mean I hate you. And it doesn't mean you have to hate me. And it doesn't mean we can't learn from each other and possibly see a middle ground or learn from each other, okay? So if you disagree with me, you can be nice about it in the comment. We can have a great dialogue. In fact, I encourage people that disagree with me to engage with me. I enjoy that. Just be respectful, no name calling, okay? So, I got some questions recently because I made a video talking about how gender dysmorphia is a DSM-5 mental illness. And I was saying that maybe there needs to be something in place for people because they seem to have a high propensity for unaliving themselves. And I have to use that word because YouTube will censor other words. And apparently they have an axe to grind against especially Christians and Christian schools. Not all. I've known many in my life. They have been good people. I don't think that they're evil people, but I do believe personally they have a mental disorder, and we should be loving individuals that encourage them to get help, because I do believe they need help. They do not need to be affirmed. They need to be helped so they could live a happier and, more importantly, healthier life. Okay? So that's my position. So people were asking me, do I think that this is a thing the Trump administration should go down? And do I think it opens doors for future administrations to use something similar to institute gun bans? And I think both of those questions are great. I'm going to answer the second one first. And the answer to that question is, yes, they would use it to go after other things. They could just say, oh, you're a conservative. We could just arbitrarily say you're mentally, you have a mental illness and we're going to ban guns from you. Sure, they can do that. But guess what? They're going to do that anyway. That's the one thing about the right, conservatives or Republicans, that I get very frustrated with. And it's why I'm much more on the libertarian side than anything else, is because I have found conservatives honestly are a bunch of pussies. Okay? The reason I say that is when we hold power, and by we, I mean people that might lean right, might lean freedom-oriented, might lean more libertarian, we never use that power. Now, I will say Trump's been doing it more than any president in the past, but for the most part, like with Congress, we don't use that power. We go along to get along, you know? But when the Democrats hold the majority by one single vote, they will ram through the most oppressive, progressive legislation that is the most transformative that they could possibly make it. I'm talking about like upending social norms by one vote, one single vote. And their response will be, we have power. We were voted in and we have a mandate. They will not care about the concerns of the opposition. They will not care about the concerns of the minority party. They will not listen to you. They will ram through their agenda, come hell or high water, and they will be a unified voting bloc to make it happen. You know it to be true. You've seen it before. But when our side gets in power, we have defectors, we have people that can't agree, and even if we did have everybody agree, they go, we have to listen, which is fine, okay? But they're a bunch of wimps. They're a bunch of pussies. They never get anything done. So even if a transgender gun ban never goes into effect through executive order, and using the the question on the 4473, which deals with mental capacity, trust me, the left and the anti-gunners will do it against us anyway. So it doesn't matter. So let's talk about the gun ban now. I believe that you should only have your Second Amendment rights taken away for a mental disorder if you have your day in court and are adjudicated mentally defective. You should not be tried in absentia. And what that means is, like with these red flag laws, somebody can just tell the court, I think this person's a danger. They try you in absentia. You're not there. You don't even know what's happening. You're not able to mount a defense, and then your gun rights are taken from you. That is not right. That is not the way our legal system should work. You should be allowed to have a speedy trial, to be able to defend yourself if somebody says you are incapable or dangerous to own a gun. I do believe that because there are situations in which somebody should not have a gun. And I think if for example, you have schizophrenia, you have made violent outbursts or statements against somebody, or you have some type of mental disability, you should have your day in court, and if found reasonably an issue, your rights can be taken away. And I do believe that people with transgendered or who are gender dysphoric, while that in itself is not a reason to have your gun rights stripped from you, if, for example, you make other statements like, I'm going to hurt myself, or I want to hurt others, or you are found to be making statements about how much you hate Christians or whatever, I believe that in conjunction with gender dysphoria should get you a day in court to see if you should have your gun rights stripped of you. I know that's not going to be a popular opinion because it gives the government a lot of power. But as I said, they're going to do it against us anyway. However, my check on this whole system is I believe that if anybody does a red flag law statement against you or says that you should be mentally adjudicated defective, and you go in for your day in court and you prove to the judge this was made because the person they hate me, they don't like me, maybe you're going through a messy divorce, but there's no violence involved, whatever the situation is, or it turns out it's just somebody trying to hurt somebody because they love guns and the person that hates them knows that and they want to hurt them, and that there's nothing wrong with you. If the judge goes, yeah, get this out of my courtroom, the person that made the accusation should be liable for the legal defense of the person that had to defend their Second Amendment rights. And I think that would be a great block, because people just can't willy-nilly say that person's a danger to themselves or others, their Second Amendment rights should be stripped of them, and then it turns out it's not true and then not be held accountable. Okay? There are laws against making false police reports, false accusations, and I believe that should be strictly enforced. So, to answer your question, I do believe people with gender dysphoria have a mental disease, a mental disorder. I don't hate them. I want them to be happy and healthy, because I believe at our core, while you might want to be somebody else, I'm 6 foot tall. I might wish I was 6'5", okay? Because people that are taller are more successful. When I was younger, I wanted to play basketball. Being 6'5", 6'6" would have been awesome. But God made me 6 foot tall. That's who I am. I could want to be something else, much taller, maybe have more hair, which actually I love my bald head, but maybe have something else, okay? Like hair, or be able to have a full grown beard. I can't really get this little part right here to grow in completely. Just because I want that doesn't mean I can identify as that. I just have to wake up and go, I am who I am. The way God made me, and I believe God made me perfect for who I am supposed to be. And I just got to live with that and live to be happy with that. And I feel like people that want to mutilate their bodies, cut off parts especially, or inject hormones or drugs into them to change everything about them, there's a problem with that. And we should not affirm that. It's no different than, as I mentioned before, somebody that eats pennies. It's a disease called pica. We don't go, okay, I know that you like to eat pennies. Well, I collected all the pennies in my house, and here's a jar for you to eat pennies. You go, I know you want to eat pennies, but we're not going to let you eat pennies because that's not right. And I feel like people that have gender dysphoria and want to chop off their genitals or parts of their body, we have an obligation as a society and go, we love you. You need help. You should not mutilate your body. God made you perfect the way you are. And we need to get you help so that you can find happiness in who you are. It's okay to, like at Halloween, to dress up as, Macho Man Randy Savage. Because you're not really Macho Man Randy Savage, but it's fun to think you are for one night at a Halloween party, okay? And you, oh yeah, and do all the impressions and all that kind of stuff. It's great, right? You have fun, you have some laughs. But at heart, you're not Macho Man Randy Savage. Just like these people should know, Okay, you were born biologically a male. You're not a female. And it's okay to be a male. It's okay to be happy with who you are. We need to get you there. And while you're going through this difficult process, because people with gender dysphoria that are trans have such a high propensity for self-harm, maybe we should scrutinize them a little bit more. Not saying it's a blanket ban, but be able to go, okay, you've made these statements, you're trans, maybe until you sort this out and you get help or whatever, maybe. As I said, I know it's a slippery slope. However, when the other side is in power, trust me, they're going to do it whether or not we do this ban or at all, okay? So, if you disagree with me, if you have a more nuanced point, please tell me. Just don't be mean about it. And just because we disagree on this doesn't mean I think you're a traitor to the Second Amendment. It doesn't mean you have to hate me and my positions. This is fresh ground for us all. Why don't we have a discussion? Maybe you can change my mind, or maybe I can change yours, or we come to some consensus, because that's what this is all about. So there you go. So the word of the day, if you made it this long 36-minute video, the word of the day is consensus. So let's get some consensus on what to do about people with mental disorders and how to properly adjudicate them when it comes to their Second Amendment rights. So I look forward to seeing what you have to say in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.